Ah, I've been speaking and I just realized that I wasn't talking, I was just talking to myself, which is terrible. There was a view of my TransLink map visible, so I'm gonna put this back for a second so you can actually see my TransLink map. It's right there, see? Up over there. Yeah, you can see it. Now it's gone. Hey everyone, welcome back to the stream. Today is a crazy day. I was just out running, so that's why I look a little disheveled. Let me add a title to this video. Go like that. Wonderful. Oh, yeah, it's been a bit of a crazy week. I'm going to give it, as usual, a few minutes before I start talking about main topics today, including Toronto's crazy transit plans and opening some mail. Some folks sent me mail, and I really appreciate that. If you want to send me mail for me to open on the stream, the link to the form that you can submit with your idea is in the video description. So make sure to click on that, check that out, and send me something from where you're from, or some unique transit tickets or maps or other things that you want me to open on stream, or perhaps put on the wall behind me. That's the usual stuff. As always, the link to the next stream is in the video description, and I should say that I think I'm going to take April off of streaming because I'm going on a few trips, not huge ones, but small trips, so it should be very interesting. Today I'm going to talk about, as I said, Toronto's insane transit plans. People on the internet being crazy, because that's something I deal with on a regular basis. And there was something else. I think it's mainly those things. NIMBYs, I don't know, the usual stuff. So it should be very fun. I'll get things started around 8:10, so I'll start with opening the mail. So let's get on with that. This mail item is, let me open this up. I don't read letters on the screen, on the stream. You can tell how tired I am from the confusion of words. But this is from Istanbul, so this should be very interesting. Again, if you have a unique transit card or map or something, feel free to send it, because I'll open it up on stream and the world can see it. These are very cool Istanbul transit cards, which look really awesome, as you can see. I really like this design. I think it's way more interesting than Presto, especially because there are some cool, iconic symbols of the city on the other side. Focus is a little bad, but yeah, you can kind of get a sense. So I think that's pretty cool. Thank you so much for sending these, and yeah, they're really nice cards, to be honest. Nicer than Toronto, for sure. And Toronto's card is okay, so that's actually saying something. Let's open the next piece of mail. 2 pieces of mail today. So it should be interesting, as always. This one is fairly large. Let's see what this is. And this is kind of funny. This is also from Istanbul. So we've got a lot of Istanbul-related mail this week. I'm just quickly opening up this letter so I can take a quick look at it. Someone whose English is not their first language, but they have written an impressive amount of very good English here. This is from Mustafa, so this is, I think I can say that much. So this is a regular reminder that even if you can't support the channel via, and oh my goodness, I'm so out of focus. Maybe I can That's annoying. Even if you can't support the channel via Patreon or YouTube memberships, just watching videos really does help. Mustafa hilariously sent another Istanbul fare card, which is great, honestly. I'm happy to have more than one. And this, though, is the really cool thing. The Istanbul Metro map, which I'm actually very excited about. This is the, let's be honest, boring side, the outer side. And this is the interesting side, and you're lucky because I don't even get to look at it yet. I'm letting you see first. This is like the new airport up here, I believe. Istanbul has a really interesting metro. It is going to get an explainer video, so stay tuned for that. I think it's really interesting that Istanbul includes the under construction lines on their map as perhaps a bit of a flex, but yeah, it's really cool. And they've got quite the metro network going, though I will say the fact that the Marmara is the only thing that crosses the Bosphorus, and yes, I know the Metro bus does as well, is a little unfortunate because I think that they're probably going to need more capacity in the future. So I'm curious if you're from Istanbul, if there are plans for maybe like another metro line across the Bosphorus, because it seems like it would be like a logical thing to do, to add another line for more capacity. Because I think it's going to be needed with the size of this metro network, which is currently pretty much split in two. So I have some more water, and then I'll get into chatting a bit with the live chat, and then we can talk about the news. Wonderful water. Ooh, we have... Interesting. DART and RTD TVMs don't sell or reload transit cards, only retail stores do. That is really annoying, and I think that definitely shouldn't be a thing. It's cool to have retail stores as an option for reloading and buying transit cards, but you should be able to do that at stations for sure. Hello from Adelaide, hey to and from England, hello. Can you make same Montreal Metro? I'm not sure what you're referring to. Someone's coming to their first live stream. Hey there. I'm doing well tonight. Hope that the TTC will extend the Harbourfront Trolley Line, streetcar line, also known as an LRT, according to the city government. Yes, the plans are to extend it east, and it should happen hopefully in the next couple of years. Do you plan to individually tackle the systems in South America? Yeah, absolutely. I already did Santiago, which you should definitely go watch. And if you didn't, go watch the Taipei Metro video from today. Not many people are watching it, and I'm a little sad about that. If you're watching this stream, please help out by giving that video a watch. I think it's a really good video, and it was a lot of work. So it would be much appreciated if people went and watched it, because it helps me make videos when people watch them. I think it's actually really good though, and I think that Taipei is actually a super interesting system, so it's a worthwhile watch. I think the explained videos are among the best. But yes, I do plan to individually tackle the systems in South America. I have a system in Brazil coming up fairly soon, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, I don't like when there's no transit card options. I like having transit cards. I think they are very nice. I am very... This camera is like doing this scan line thing. I'm sorry. Hopefully I can get that sorted out in the future. I think it might just be the bad quality of the lights in this building, which I might not be able to fix easily. The Leap card in Ireland is the only sensible thing the Irish government has done in public transit. Well, I do have a Leap card, and it is quite nice. I agree, the metro map from Istanbul is really nice. Dart's City Line TOD has tons of occupied offices, but gets paltry ridership because it's filled with massive free car parks. I agree, but I would also push back and say, if you provide really good service, I think a lot more people will take the train, and I think Dallas doesn't provide the most amazing service. The LRT is kind of a little iffy. Okay, let me continue down. I just started to watch your videos from Southern California. Very cool. I don't really want to talk about the current international events. They are very upsetting, but I feel like it's an issue that I frankly am not qualified to opine on, besides saying that it's a really tragic situation and I really hope for peace. Another person catching the stream live for the first time. It's someone from Scotland. I feel bad, but I am going to struggle to pronounce your name and I do not want to butcher it. I would argue that population is sometimes less relevant than the specific local context. So I guess it is population, but it's population along a line. A city that's highly dense, but only along a certain corridor, might be able to justify like one single metro line. I agree Taipei has great plans, but they're building most of their stuff, so they're actually executing on them. Yep, Istanbul is definitely one of those cities that has found a lot of archaeological sites as they're building their metro. Obviously, Istanbul is a really historic and important city, so I guess it's not super surprising. Yes, I have heard of the South Shore Fairway in Chicago. Definitely familiar. Yes, you are being reported to live from the 90s, Alfie. Are crystal movers or valves less Gadgetbon-like? I don't recall if crystal movers use limb. I don't think so. But no, they're Gadgetbons. But as I've mentioned before, there can be reasons that automated people movers are popular for airports and the like. When you think about it, like having tired vehicles, and if rubber tired vehicles, I don't know how to best say that. Having them can actually be useful in the sense that changing wheels might actually be easier than like reprofiling proper rail wheels. You might get worse performance, but it might make maintenance a little bit easier, which is an interesting thing to think about. RM stands for my name, so definitely go check out like today's video title, things like that, as well as I have a website, so check that out in the video description. Yeah, if you don't know, yeah, I have a website, so you can check it out and look at it. I sometimes put things on there. I haven't said so, but if you're not, consider following me on Twitter and Instagram. I post a lot of pictures as well as posting, especially on Twitter. I post when I'm going to do a video on a certain city, so I'll say, is anyone in Budapest, for example? And then that's a good way to connect with people who live in different places, so I can help get photos and some local information to help make videos, which I think is really quite helpful. So definitely check out following me over there. I wouldn't say LRT is a good idea for Victoria, BC. I would say like a regional rail, O-train style system, or text rail style system would make a lot of sense, but with better development around the stations. I'm going to talk about what's crazy about Toronto's transit plans. Just let me get to the bottom of the chat, which I'm almost at. Boston has a bus line tunnel. That's actually less uncommon than you might think. Once you get the money, you should make a more interesting background for your videos. It's a little tricky because I live in a very small space. Toronto rent prices are incredibly high, and oh, I should say, hey Jacob, who is a YouTube member, thanks for supporting the channel and welcome to the chat. Rent prices in Toronto are super high, so I have to. Oh, what the? Okay, that's okay. I didn't break my foot or something. Rent prices are high. I have a really small apartment, and having an intricate background is kind of tricky because basically maintaining my space, being able to use it for things other than just filming, means moving stuff around all the time, and so it's just a little complicated to make a really complex background. I'm not ruling it out, but yeah, it's complex. I'm gonna get a bit more water. I will be back in a short second. Okay, so let's get into Toronto's crazy transit news. Okay, so what we've got to do is a couple things here. So I'm going to move my streaming software over and try to get YouTube clipped here. Can I do it? There we go. Okay, YouTube has been clipped. Streaming software is working. It's time to tear apart Toronto's transit plans. Okay, not really, but seriously, this is a little crazy. So the first thing I need to do, so this is going to be a bit of an involved process, okay? Bear with me. This will take a little bit of time. I need to open up the transit plan, which is a little more difficult than you might expect. So let me see. I gotta find someone who sent it to me. It was sent to me by a few people. Let's see, maybe we should go here to find it. Okay, that's not gonna work. Plan B, back over here. I'm gonna share my screen, I think today, which I know as someone who was in the tech industry really shouldn't be a big challenge, but you'd be surprised. It can be more frightening than you might expect. Okay, there we go. We've got the transit plan open. Oh, someone sent a super chat. Winnie Lee, hey there, thanks for the super chat. So appreciated. Also, who could you be? Jacob Bax upgraded their membership to tram service operators. So thanks, Jacob. It's much appreciated, your support for the channel. Okay, let me just scroll down here. I'm just checking the chat to make sure I'm not missing anything. Why does California high-speed rail use lots of manual labor? Well, the Indonesian HSR is being built with lots of machines because it's not super efficient, but also it can be less expensive if done right. Is it being done right? Probably not. Shout out from Dallas. Hey there, Corey. Greetings from Brazil, from Carlos. For a BRT light, which makes more sense? Use stations or common bus stops? I think it depends on the location. More busy locations, a station could be nice. When I say a regional style train for Victoria, I mean something like a Swiss regional train with a lot of single track segments and that sort of thing. What is the best US city with lots of suburb to suburb connections? Dallas actually, hilariously, might not be the worst, but it's so sprawling. LA is not horrible, but again, the service levels are really the problem. No water delivery tonight, unfortunately not. Is that a guitar case? Oh, that's such an interesting question. Is it a guitar case? It is a guitar case, yes. It is not a guitar though, it is actually a bass. It is a, I cannot believe I'm forgetting the specific type of bass it is. It's not my bass, though I do like to play it sometimes. Let me search up what kind of bass it is. It's an SG bass. It's a Gibson SG bass, which is, it's quite cool. My partner plays bass. Greetings from NYC. Loved your subway explained. Would love a video on the commuter railways. Yeah, I will definitely do one in the future. So Aditya, thank you for the super chat. I super appreciate it. Why aren't double-decker trains popular in transit? Would future capacity plans be easier with an option for double-deck trains on elevated systems? I did a whole video about everything you need to know about double-deckers and also on why you shouldn't use double-deckers. Double-decker trains are good for regional services, like longer distance regional services, kind of intra-regional or inter-regional services. But for rapid transit, the issue is that you can't operate them that frequently because you have a lot of people on them and not much room for doors, which is the big problem. I'm going to go like this, close some things here. I have the Toronto transit plan open. I'm going to open it shortly, but I am going to just read through a bit more of the chat, but I actually have it open here on my screen. So with a lot of finicking with OBS, I'll be able to put it up on screen and make it look nice, but it will require a lot of mental energy. So I'm going to take a second to just relax first. Where would we find that Toronto transit plan? Good point. Let me drop it in the... I'll drop it in the chat. I'm not going to send it yet. I'm going to wait to send it until I'm actually looking through it so that you don't get any sneak peeks. What do you think about CRRC? They've had a really pretty bad reputation in North America is what I will say. We're 2 years into the pandemic, and I only had my first Zoom call last week. Feel like you on being a tech dinosaur in the tech industry. Yeah, I haven't had a lot of video calls because I haven't been working a very regular job. Yeah, I still... Video calling software gives me anxiety because it's like one of my least favorite things is when it automatically turns the camera on when you start a call. Terrible. That should never happen. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. How did you get into the field of transportation planning, and what is a typical day like or what was a typical day like in the profession? It's actually the kind of work I want to get into after college. I got into it in a very unconventional way, which is that I made YouTube videos which caught people's attention and kind of got me hooked into the industry. A regular day looked like a ton of different stuff. Meeting with stakeholders, meeting with like government, constructors potentially, other planners, creating reports, helping with environmental assessments, dealing with different documents, planning out transit facilities, a lot of interesting stuff. I haven't seen the new Kuala Lumpur MRT, so I'm going to defer talking about it yet. Part of the Elizabeth line is now complete. A large part has been complete for some time. Yes, I have heard of the Berlin M-Bahn. I am going to... Okay. Do you think there could be justification for a Northern Ontario line extension to Markham? Probably not, because there are lower-hanging fruit projects, and there's already a regional rail line that goes up to Markham. So probably not, no. LA really not... Yeah, LA is not bad for cross-region transit, as long as you live on a transit line and are maybe willing to wait 3 hours for a train to come. Someone's saying something which, let's just say they're asking for a comparison of Patreon and YouTube memberships. Let's just say that quick Google search, and I appreciate the support a ton, but let's just leave it at that for reasons that are probably a little bit clear. Though I do appreciate the question. It is a really good question to ask. Do you enjoy classical music? Yes, I do. I really like Chopin especially. Do you play any other instruments other than the bass? I used to play the French horn, and I grew up playing piano, and I spent a long time playing guitar, as well as trumpet. So a few instruments. Is Toronto going to secure itself a place on the map like Brockway, Ogdenville, and North Haverbrook? Thankfully, no, I don't think so. Do you think that surface route changes surrounding Line 5 Eglinton are well thought out? I've got the personal feeling that they're missing tricks in a couple places. I haven't looked at them too closely, but there are definitely some things that should be fixed. But that's probably a topic for a future video. For me, looking at stuff like that makes me a little stressed because Eglinton Crosstown opening is both exciting and so stressful for me because in the span of a few days, I want to put out like 10 videos on, I want to go tour all the stations. I want to film like so many different videos about the line when it opens. Hopefully, Metrolinx, if you're watching this, please invite me out early to take videos of the line so I can do it when it's not super crowded and busy. I'd really appreciate that. Please, please, please. At Metrolinx on Twitter and tell them to invite me to events before the line opens. But yeah, it would be, I definitely want to do stuff about it, but it is just also filming YouTube videos and releasing them and uploading them is so stressful. Today is an example of one of those days. I don't really get very meta on my YouTube channel, but I guess for streams, maybe I can. YouTube is stressful, and one of the most stressful features, you've probably heard this if you've watched other YouTubers who talk at all about YouTube, is that it tells you how well a video is doing relative to your other recent videos. And when you have a day where it is a 1, you feel really good, and when you have a day where it is a 10, like today, so please go watch the Type A Metro video, it feels really bad. And the stress of putting out a lot of videos in a row is that you have to keep like stressfully rolling the dice and hoping that people want to watch your video, which is stressful. So please consider supporting on Patreon and YouTube memberships because it really does help reduce the stress level of did this video blow up or did it not blow up? You know, I care about making good videos, but it's so stressful when you put the work in to make a video that you think is really good, and the outcome is rarely syncs up with how much work you put in. It kind of feels like when you're in school and you have essays that you work really hard on and you get a bad mark, and then you have essays that you don't work very hard on and you get a good mark, and it kind of makes you disillusioned and you feel like nothing means anything, because if you can work really hard and it doesn't actually equate to getting a good mark, then maybe marks don't actually line up with how hard you worked or how insightful your information is. In the same way, maybe you spend like weeks working on a video about Tokyo that does really meh, and then you make like a video relatively quickly about whether London is better than New York transit battle, and it does twice as good, and you just go, ah. So that's YouTube in a nutshell, basically. I'm going a little crazy. What is a good example of a redesigned suburb? I'm not sure, to be honest. That's a good question. I probably could think of one, but I'm a little all over the place right now. What are your thoughts on stub stations and through stations? I actually have a video talking about this coming soon, so stay tuned. This is a very interesting question. The base case does indeed have a base in it. I can probably pull it out at some point. Why is there almost no transit service along ring roads outside the city? I think it really depends. I don't have a strong opinion on BRT in Laval. I did not see the original message, though. What is your thoughts about Hawaii Transit? Lacking. What do you think about downtown Markham for walkability and transit? Transit should be good, but it's pretty bad. Walkability, same thing. I wish RM, I think you mean my channel, is ad-free. It requires a lot of Patreon memberships and YouTube, I guess. Yeah, it does, definitely. Also, I hope people see ads as, I wouldn't say necessary evil. I don't partner with organizations that I don't think produce a good product. At the same time, yeah, that's part of people creating content. And I think that sometimes people don't appreciate how being content creator is really all over the place and stressful, because if you don't do ads or if you don't monetize your videos, it's really hard to get a return for your time. And, people aren't really being greedy. I think most YouTubers put in way more time than they kind of get paid for. So if you were to like get a wage, they'd be getting paid less than minimum wage for their time, at least for a really long time as they're growing. So take it easy on YouTubers. And also, if you have feedback, you should give it to people, but you should be nice about it. Let's just say someone gave me really mean feedback, basically on something that was not really unique. They said that my thumbnails were too clickbaity, which other people I watch on YouTube have addressed similar topics before, like, why do you do clickbaity thumbnails? I personally don't think I make clickbaity thumbnails. I think clickbait is kind of implying that you're lying or being dishonest about what you're talking about. For me, I try to come up with a title and thumbnail that interests people, that gets people excited to watch a video. But I wouldn't say it's clickbait. I would say clickbait is like disingenuous or lying, and I don't think that that's what I put in thumbnails. So yeah, but at the same time, people watch stuff, and at the end of the day, the algorithm is kind of king, unfortunately. Is two-way all-day service for the Milton line in the plans? It's kind of unclear. Andrew coming in with a very nice thing. Take your time with the Eglinton Crosstown station visits. We will watch whenever you post them. I will, but I also will do them pretty quickly. Why do you think Toronto has so many streetcar lines, but not Montreal and Vancouver? Toronto decided to keep them, and Montreal and Vancouver did not. I got shot to the bottom of the chat, so I'm going to scroll up a bit. Oh, Paige Saunders is in the chat. I see below, so I don't know what kind of nefarious things he could be getting up to, but I'll find out shortly. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Thank you. It's really appreciated. Do you think Toronto's Line 5 should be all underground and or elevated? Yes. I definitely think the eastern part should have been built elevated, and I think a lot of people in the transit industry also think that. It is going to have capacity problems. As I've said in a lot of videos, like, this is a line that goes through the center of the fourth largest city in North America, where transit is really successful, but it has the capacity of the Canada Line in Vancouver, which people go crazy about because it doesn't have enough capacity, right? But this is a way bigger city where transit is way more heavily used. And this line connects a lot of major sites. It's just not a good situation, especially because part of it operates at grade, which makes its capacity even lower than the Canada lines. So yes, craziness. Line 6 east to Yonge, or Line 4 west to Allen. Line 4 west for sure, because connecting up the subway network in the north end is a really valuable thing. Someone sent a super chat, so I will go look at that, and then I will hop back up. Hi, Reese. What is your favorite color? Roy is asking the right questions. My favorite color is probably like a blue or a green, but yeah, it changes from time to time. I'm a big fan of black as well, and red. I like red. That's the color I use for all my channel graphics. Any ideas for Chicago expansion? Yes, I will be doing a Chicago video. Doing an explainer, so stay tuned for that. I personally found myself binging multiple videos you've made. You're doing great content. Thank you so much. What's your favorite foreign snack that you can't easily buy in Canada? What an interesting question, Paige. This is maybe a little niche, and you can buy it now some places, but aloe, the drink from Korea, typically. There's one specific brand, I think it's like Paldo or something like that. It's so good, but it's very hard to find, but it is the most delicious thing. It's great. Are park and rides the same as transfer centers? No, and I think you maybe mean a transit center. Also, thanks for the support on these videos, Reese. You're a good man. Paige has been making good videos about the RAM. You should go take a look at them. There are a lot of NIMBYs out there who do not want transit built, and it's very frustrating. If you like transit and you want transit to get built, and you feel like, what can I do to help transit in my city? Because I think people do say this to me a lot. When there are like community meetings for transit projects, go to them and voice your support. Say, when people go up and they say, I don't like this because it's going to be loud, even though there are roads everywhere that loud vehicles drive on, you should stand up and say, electric trains are not loud, and I support transit because transit is good for XYZ reasons. It's environmentally sustainable, it's more equitable, it's better for people's health because they walk to the stops, it builds community. There's so many reasons transit is good. Just go up and support transit. It's really helpful. And it also, the people working on the transit, the planners, etc., will love you for it. Should Line 5 have been a subway? Yes. Scrolling up. Hi, Reece from Singapore. I would say that you did a good job on the Taipei Metro Explained video as well as the Singapore MRT. Thanks so much. I think Danish is your name. San Diego Blue Line is the poster child of high ridership with zero TOD or density by exploiting reverse commuting, connecting downtown with the busiest border crossing in the world outside Asia. Very interesting. How could they ever be on... Oh, okay, I see. This is another message. I will probably do a video on the South Shore at some point. The fact that the Eglinton Crosstown West extension is tunneled is depressing. I don't think it's depressing. It's, you know, it's less than optimal. I think being elevated would be better. What is going on? Okay, sorry. The stream paused, and I was wondering, is everything working? Maybe someone can say something in the chat if it died and came back to life. But I don't think it's depressing that the Eglinton Crosstown West extension is underground. I think it is wasteful. I don't think it needs to be underground, but it's underground, and at the end of the day, that's fine. Underground transit has its benefits. It will be more resilient to weather. It will be high capacity, but better than on the surface, I would say. What would be the most relevant idea to fix transit in Berlin? Well, I don't think transit's that bad in Berlin, to be honest. Issues Berlin has? It's hard to say. Berlin's pretty good. You know, maybe extending the tram system to the western part of the city, which is hilarious coming from me. And then those logical short U-Bahn extensions. I mean, the S-Bahn doesn't really need another tunnel. Maybe increasing S-Bahn frequencies, improve rolling stock. The rolling stock is good, but it's not I know I made a video saying it's my favorite rolling stock in the world. Design-wise, yes, but tech-wise, not necessarily. Incorporate some of those Japanese concepts, I think would be really good. Maybe enhance the regional express system. Those are my ideas, I would say. How do you feel about the smart train in California? It's okay, but it's not amazing. The lack of direct service to San Francisco, I know would be difficult, is frustrating. Also, I don't think the connection at the ferry terminal Larkspur is that good. Should standing space be considered as capacity? Yes. Imagine not going to the nearest Korean shop on a regular basis. Absolutely. Should you have free transfers between buses and trains like the TTC? Probably, yes. Zones, generally not a bad thing. Do you think the rolling stock for the REM will be used for the Ontario line? No, because we tend to use different rolling stock. Lots of cities use similar stock to the REM, such as Taipei. Watch today's video on Taipei. But it will be, if at closest, it will be similar, but it will not be the exact same because they're going to do 4-car sets. It sounds like initially. Do you want to see another high-frequency system using the Singapore MRT-sized trains? I would love to see that for Kuala Lumpur's upcoming Circle line. Yep, no, that seems like a pretty good idea. Will you be doing collaboration videos with other YouTubers? I've done quite a few actually in the past, including with Jago Hazard for London Underground Explained, with Gareth Dennis and David Frankel for my British high-speed rail video. I've done a lot of ones for explainer videos, one with Ben Lohman for the Montreal Explained video, and others, lots of others. So I've done quite a few. Probably continue to do more. I've done some with Paige, of course. What would you do to fix Eglinton Line 5 in the future? Elevate the eastern section. Probably raise the platforms as well. The good thing about Eglinton, actually, is that it's relatively straight. So having to deal with tight corners may be less of an issue when we need to raise the platforms, except for around the operations and maintenance facility where it could be a little tricky. If you're scared at these meetings, anything you say will be more coherent than the NIMBYs. Absolutely true. More UK train videos, definitely. Could you talk about the Maryland Purple Line? It's a bit of a mess. That's my talk, but I will do more talking in the future. I'm good. Okay, it's working. That's good to hear. Pearson Transit Hub, unclear what's happening. I think that since COVID, everything's been up in the air. What do you think of Brightline from Miami to Orlando? Pretty cool, because I can fly to Orlando and take the train to go see my family in other parts of Florida. Which is cool. I haven't done a collaboration with not just bikes, but he has featured me in a few videos. And I have definitely mentioned him in videos, but I have not collaborated directly. That is something we should get to at some point, hopefully. Have you heard about the Burnaby Mountain Gondola? Absolutely, yes, very supportive, and I think it's going to be happening anyways, even with the NIMBYs. I'm not going to talk about controversial topics. Have you seen these Stadler double-decker tram concepts made for city skylines? No, and I feel like this is a verging on fantasy chat territory. But someone post them, maybe I'll take a look. Have you considered streaming on Twitch? I suppose it's possible, but it's just not the platform I generally use, so it would make things more difficult, and I'm not a streamer. I just do these streams, so I don't think so, but maybe in the long term. Yes, no capital funding if there isn't good service, but provinces, etc., need to help more with service. Yes, I think the DC Metro could have done something to maintain service. I did a video on it. I think it's called like how not to buy your Metro trains. Watch that video for an idea. The trailer for Turning Red, go watch Turning Red. I watched Turning Red already, really good movie, and features a decent amount of transit in it. I have family in Florida, yes. What is your long-term goal with your YouTube video? Just keep making videos. I'll talk more about it in a future video though. What do you think of the new Ontario Transit plan? I'm going to talk about it in just a few minutes here. When do we get the juicy takes on new planned lines? What's your favorite train? Okay, so I'm going to try to share my screen now, so give me a second. Now that we're kind of in a bit of an intermission, yes, I'm about to go through the Ontario Transit plan in front of you and tear it apart. Not necessarily, but I'm going to share my thoughts. What I will say is this. If you're not already, consider supporting the channel on YouTube, YouTube memberships and Patreon. Both are really appreciated. As well, make sure to watch today's video on Taipei Metro. Consider sending mail to me, link in the description. Consider reminding yourself of the next stream, also link in the description. And make sure you're subscribed and following on Twitter and Instagram. Now let's look at the Ontario Transit plan. Okay, so I don't want to mess anything up, but let's see what we can do. Okay, display capture. Okay. See if I can do this. This might be a bit tricky. Let's see, where is it? Okay, closing that. Delete this. Okay, I'm trying to share my screen, and this is going to be more difficult than I was hoping it was going to be. Okay. Let's see. Window capture. Okay. Go like this. Window. Okay. Okay. Do this. Okay. This is. I don't want to do any of these ones. This is so stressful. Okay, I can't do that. Okay, this is not working very well. need to give permission to OBS to do things. Okay, let's try this again. Secret emails with NIMBY organizations. Come on, what are you talking about? Well, Eglinton could still be made a light metro by just separating up to Science Center, which seems like a decent option. Display capture. Proving very frustrating. That's just not doing anything. Okay. That's, I think we're making progress, maybe. I need to find my window here, which is... That's not what I intended on doing. Well, you can all see some crazy OBS stuff. That's not doing anything. Okay. That's not doing anything. Let's show window shadow. Let's get rid of that. This is very stressful. This is just M1 Mac fun, trying to figure out how to share share a window. It's just a real, it's a real battle. Oh no. Yeah, I was worried that this might be the case. I think I've shared my screen before. Because I'm sharing my screen now, so clearly it has permission. It's being really weird. We're gonna try a little bit longer. That's not doing anything. Control center, no. 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 That's not it either, is it? Okay, well, this is not working. So, I'll try one more thing, and then I am going to give up on this window capturing plan and just send it. Okay. I'm really trying to open up this transit plan on my screen, and it is proving way more annoying and difficult than I was expecting it to. Okay, let's see. Display capture. No properties available. Okay. Okay. That's just not doing anything. That's a solid idea. That is a very solid idea, is making an image source, but I want to at least see if I can get a display working for 2 more minutes. print and show to the camera. That would be a level of embarrassment that I never want to experience. So I'm not going to do it quite yet. Okay. Image slideshow. Okay, maybe we actually can just download this PDF and do something that way. So let's try that. Okay. Hopefully the stream is still working. I'm a little concerned that it may not be. Okay. I just joined you on Patreon. Thank you. I appreciate it a lot. This is just Reece moaning into the mic. Yes, it is. Isn't this just wonderful? No, I'm sorry. I know it's not. Okay, let's try this. Image slideshow. Maybe this will work. Okay, no, that's not going to work at all. Terrible idea, Reece. Remove that. Okay, let's try image. We'll see how image works. Browse for a file. You can browse for files. We know how to do that. It's good. It's working. Okay. Now just find this file that we're looking for. Can it open a PDF? That is the question of the day. Looks like it may not be able to. That is wonderful, because so I guess we really do have to do screenshot unless there is a different option here. So let me just take one more look. This is what happens when you have a degree in computer science and you literally have no idea how to get OBS to work. I did download the PDF. And it's been a little stressful. Okay, media source. Okay, media. We could be talking about media here. Okay, well, turns out PDFs are not media, so I think they're media. I enjoy watching PDFs. Okay, move that. Open this. Okay, we're really running out of options here, folks. We may actually have to start using screenshots. Video capture device. Well, we can see device, camera. No. Remove. Okay. We're running out here. Okay. VLC video source. I do not think so. Okay, we're gonna try one last thing. If it doesn't work, I'm gonna take the screenshot route. No properties available. Oh, this is just useless. Okay, screenshot time. Let's open this plan up and get a screenshot going. I'm scrolling. Turn camera to screen. Yes. I'm doing it the old-fashioned way now. Window capture does work though, is the problem. Like I already saw that it was working at least for OBS, so I don't think that's the issue. I've done this before, but OBS is annoying, and trying to figure it out while I'm streaming for 100 people is a little challenging. I'm just looking through this transportation plan. I'm gonna get the file. I'm gonna get an image of what I want, and then I'll just open that up. But more highways, that's in there. It's not great, is it? Not exactly the popular thing to do these days, build more highways, especially in your transit plans. So yeah, interesting concentration of people and jobs per hectare. Okay, maybe what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into downloads. Okay, except I don't know where they're gonna, so our screenshot's gonna go to the desktop. That's a good question. And the desktop has a ton of stuff on it. Okay, so let's go like this. Let's look at a list. Okay. Screenshots. Okay, let's take one of this because this looks interesting. Okay, screenshot taken. It's working, I think. Okay, there we go. Now we're rocking and rolling. Ah, I see. OBS needs to be restarted. Well, I'm not going to restart it right now. Alfie is entertaining everyone with his, their jokes. The new highway map. Well, as much as this may be a little sad, I'll still take a screenshot because this is a big part of their plan. Transit. Okay, so I'm gonna... Okay, I will screenshot this and I'll just read the plan. And I'll also post the link so other people can download it. Okay, so we got the screenshot. Let's see if we can work some magic here. It's not really magic. It's very basic, but here we go. Image source, unsaved changes. Do you want to keep them saved? Image file, browse. There we go. Go to here. Okay, so just let's do list view today. I think this is the one we want. Wonderful. Now it's covering my face. Okay, well, you know what? That's life sometimes. Your face gets covered. Let's just put that there. So now you can see the transit plan. Except I want to put my hand over it, but I can't. So I will just mention what I'm talking about. Ooh, okay, I'm literally sitting in the wrong part of the window. Okay, I have sent the information. Okay, let's tear this thing apart. Okay, so I got 20 windows going on right now. Let's see if I could just go like that. Magnet is just being great. Okay, so what do we have here? So, okay. So the giant yellow circle means transit hub, which is just obvious because that's what yellow circle means. I'm going to be honest, this diagram is absolutely terrible. And it is like a great example of not understanding how to make a map that people can understand, especially because, you know, Toronto, like the greater Toronto and Hamilton region is obviously of great importance. But unfortunately, this map basically spends a lot of the time showing you regions which are just farmland around the greater Toronto Hamilton region instead of the actual places where rapid transit lines exist. Because like looking at Georgian Bay and Northumberland and Peterborough are very important. And then like this subway line that costs $1 bajillion is just a tiny little thing. So it makes it very hard to look at the map. So from a mapping point of view, not a fan. Could be much more zoomed in. But beyond that, there is some actually very good stuff. Okay, so let's... I'm not gonna just hammer on this. I'm just, as I see a good thing, I'll say good thing. As I see a bad thing, I'll say, you know, this is bad. I have heard what is on this map, but I may have not actually looked at this map in detail yet. So this is going to be my first impressions. Okay, let's look. So if you see the orange highlighted areas that kind of look like, I don't know, you can see various like little areas of orange highlighting. Like there's a big blob in the center around Toronto, and then like out to the sides and stuff, there's other little blobs. That's frequent service area where there's a 10-minute minimum headway. It says literally areas with frequent local transit service. You can see it on the diagram. That's actually great. That's a big improvement over today because Toronto has that level of service, but York doesn't, much of Peel doesn't, Oakville doesn't, Burlington doesn't, Oshawa doesn't, Pickering doesn't, so that would be great. Also Kitchener, Guelph, Hamilton, Bradford, St. Catharines, Welland, Niagara Falls. Even Orangeville has an area with frequent local transit, and Peterborough and Barrie, so that's pretty good and compelling. Yes, this is page 25 of the document, which is pinned to the chat. So yes, that's what I'm looking at. Now, Via Rail connections are presented with thin purpley lines. So you can kind of see there's... Okay, can I get like a pointer on this? I am... Someone, I forget who it is. Someone is a OBOO, Christian Hawkins, I think, knows how to use OBS. Can I get like a pointer? I forget, like you know, like in Google Slides, you have the laser pointer. Is there a way of me doing that in here? Because that would be really useful. I'm gonna pause. Maybe Christian knows, and then we can move forward with a laser pointer, because that would be really useful. And also, I'm gonna scooch over and like let's try to make this photo a little bit bigger. It's getting difficult. Okay, no, that's good. Okay, good. Let's see. I'm waiting. Does someone who knows OBS know if I have a way of doing this? Profile. Is there a way? I will definitely talk about Perth and the Gold Coast light rail at some point. Just so Bryce is aware. It will come eventually. I think 10-minute headways are pretty frequent. I don't know. You're shaking your head. Is good shaking head? Bad shaking head? That seems pretty good to me. Okay. Does anyone have an idea of how I can do the pointer in OBS? Okay. We're just gonna go all over the place and see what's possible here. Okay. Yeah, 10-minute headway is very frequent. Color source. Okay. This is... I wonder if I like modify the image and save it, if it's possible. Stand in front of the image. Genius. Okay. Let's go like see if I can do something a little unconventional here. See if I do markup on this image. Add a second smaller map and drag it around. That's very funny. I don't know what this image is. Yes, that is what I am referring to, but at the same time, I feel like that is an inefficient way of me doing it, so... Okay, that is not what I want, but maybe this is what I want? Okay, that... Okay, and if I go save... Okay, there we go. We have circles. This is powerful. Okay, so now I can circle things. Okay, I need to save this again to apply my changes. Okay, did the circle appear for everyone else? Okay, it did. We're good. We're doing stuff. Okay, this is the jankiest thing ever, but it's actually working, which is amazing. Okay, am I going to talk about private operation of HFR at any point? Yeah, I need to. I need to do it. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to let's just can I? So what is the best? What the heck? Okay, undo. Okay, yeah. So let's draw. So, anyways, yes, via rail, you can kind of see where via is. HFR. Interesting. So it does appear that HFR plans are for the Stouffville line. So I'm going to just kind of encircle it, which is going to turn into this big blob. But you can kind of see that the HFR corridor for VIA would be going along the Stouffville line, which I think is interesting. That hadn't necessarily been confirmed, but I guess it is confirmed now, at least from the Ontario perspective. So that's cool. So other stuff that is interesting. Did I ever say that this map is hard to read? It's hard to read, really hard to read. Even for me, I have pretty good eyesight, but incredibly hard to read this thing because the lines are so tiny. I need glasses or something. Trying to keep my head, you know what, I'm just gonna full size this map, you know, we're just gonna go all the way. There we go. Okay, so let's look at what else we have here. Okay, so planned and conceptual highways. Yeah, big highway expansion, not a huge fan for obvious reasons. You can click show cursor on OBS. Okay, but where is show cursor in OBS? The issue is the highway expansions are necessary because of the highway extensions, which is kind of the problem. It is a spaghetti diagram. Maybe someone can mention how I show cursor. Okay, maybe it's here somewhere. Filters. Properties or sources. I don't see a show cursor property, but maybe it's here somewhere. I'm not going to spend too long doing this because I've already bothered everyone enough. Okay, so anyways, yeah, I'm not going to try to do this anymore, but that's that. Existing and new regional bus connections. So there's kind of regional bus connections all over the place. You can kind of see them. They're the like random orange arrows going on all over the place. They say public, private, and on-demand, which is slightly concerning because that kind of suggests that maybe some of these GO bus routes and some of these GO bus routes would get privatized. Not a huge fan of that, but that's what it's kind of implying. I never really commented on the giant circular transit hub thing, but the 3 mega hubs are Pearson, what appears to be like Richmond Hill Center and Union, which is, I guess, okay, that kind of maybe makes sense. The issue is that, like a lot of the things with this plan that make it kind of nonsensical, the issue is that it's so based on stuff that doesn't even exist now. For Richmond Hill Center, which is right up here, give me a second, I'll save that so you can see it. For that to be, for this to be, this mega transit hub, it would need more than what it has now, which is literally one rail line, which operates a few trips a day. So saying this is going to be this mega transit hub is a little annoying. And frustrating. So that is one of the problems. Is it's really presumptive that a lot of these projects will get built, and I don't like that. For example, Finch is actually a much more important hub, but it's kind of barely mentioned here. It seems like basically every interchange point between rapid transit and regional trains is shown on this map as like a higher order hub, but I guess we're left to see what's going to happen with that. So I think there's actually a list of projects. So let me save and remove that, and then let me go back to the actual PDF, which I think I have in Chrome here. So yes, okay. So let me list off the projects here. So you can probably see the various numbers, and I'm going to. What I'll do is I'll move this over to here, I guess, and then I'll look at them. So, okay, these are all committed ones. So I'm not going to talk about the committed ones, future ones. Highway 7 East Extension. So that is number 1. Where's that? Let's go into here. So Highway 7 East is this. This would just be a BRT. So that's not super exciting, and I'm not going to talk much more about that. So let's go undo that. Steeles. So Steeles is slightly south of there, and that would be actually a pretty long rapid transit line, but I'm imagining this is just going to be kind of like a BRT type of thing. So nothing too exciting there, I suppose. So again, not really worth much conversation, I don't think. Durham Scarborough is the BRT, so I'm not going to talk about that. Simcoe is 4, and let me see if I can find 4 here. It's really a pain to look at this map. Oh yes, okay, so this is strange. Simcoe is like over here through Oshawa, which, you know, I guess is nice. That would probably be some sort of BRT or something like that. Okay. Where things get really strange is, let me see if I can find it. The way these lines are listed is really painful because, and there's also a stage 3 of Waterloo Ion, which is interesting. That's 15, I think. So it's like looping back the Waterloo Ion. So if you've seen, I'm literally just going to go and look at projects that look interesting to me. You can kind of see how it loops back on itself. This is a weird project. Maybe it's needed, but I'm not sure that this is the most valuable project that they could be building in Waterloo. But I guess, sure. What's annoying about a lot of these is that they're really not clearly labeled, so it's very hard to understand what they're trying to go for. But okay, Waterloo Ion Stage 3, that's the thing. It looks like a lot of the more interesting stuff is on the end of this list, so I'm going to go to that soon. But there is this one, which is kind of cool. This is the Hurontario extension north to Brampton, which is a pretty good project that probably should happen, even though Hurontario as a project should probably not be an LRT as it is right now. We have Waterfront East and West, which are 22 and 23, and these are just, the city calls them LRTs. They're just like streetcar extensions, basically, along the waterfront. The LRT, I guess, if you think that's a term we should be using for things, which I don't. So that's another project. A lot of these pretty boring. Eglinton East, 25. This is a really bad project. I've kind of roughly circled it here. This is an LRT extension on the surface of Eglinton Avenue in Toronto. Not really great, pretty bad in every way. So yeah, not a huge fan of that project, but they're just throwing everything at the wall here. Finch West West and Finch West East are actually kind of interesting. I'll circle them here. It's interesting that, so this is frustrating and interesting. So first of all, they've got Finch West seemingly connecting to Pearson, which is the big yellow blob to the left, but it's really hard to tell because of how messy and terrible this map is. But yeah, maybe that's happening. But they also have it connecting to the east, which means there's a connection across Finch. This is really bad, though, and I'm going to explain why if you're not familiar with the Toronto area. And that's because we already have a subway that could connect. Okay, let me go like this. Draw. Can I actually draw on this map? Okay, we have a subway that could connect right here, and that should probably be what we build. But instead, we are going to connect the two sides of this subway line with a tram line built right along here, which I think is very silly, because the subway would connect across and actually serve a yard, which is 10 seconds, located roughly here. So anyways, very annoying. I don't think it's a good idea, but LRT is a popular thing these days, and so building more of it is a popular idea. Now, there's an east-west cross-regional connection, which is line 29 from Burlington to Oshawa. And this is where things just go completely off the rails. I hate to use the term, pardon the pun. This line 29 is this thing, which is just all over the place here. I'm not sure what the best way to point it out here. 29 you can see is right there. But 29 is like this giant kind of arc that goes across the region, and from what I can tell, the plan for this is for it to be light metro, which seems okay, but I would like in Toronto us to be a little smarter with our planning, and we have this giant regional rail network. This is going to connect with a bunch of regional rail lines. It would be really sensible to make this compatible with regional rail, so that, for example, one of the biggest challenges I think we have in Toronto is that there is no link from Mississauga city centre to downtown Toronto, which is basically this connection. that you can see on your screen now. We could do that with this line if we, for example, were able to go down this regional rail line up to here and then via Pearson go down to Mississauga City Centre like that. But since these technologies are not compatible, that probably won't be possible. And while it's still a trip you could do, it would not be free of transfers. So no Japanese through running regional rail for us, which is very sad and not great. So the next thing is the Ontario Line loop connection, which is Kipling, Pearson, Highway 404, Eglinton. Again, okay, 10 seconds. This is where things are just, this is all over the place. This is what suggests to me that the plan for the Line 29 orbital thing is light metro, because this is like interlined with it from what I can tell. Let's go with the more, let's go with this line. You can see this is what this Ontario Line extension looks like, which is basically kind of turning the Ontario Line into an almost entire loop, like an inner loop, and then the outer loop would be just Line 29, which I'm gonna color here, and I'm gonna draw it in parallel at the upper part, even though that it would be interlined. This is the rest of Line 29. I'm just go like this and go like this, and there you go. You can see Line 29 and the Ontario Line extension. This just doesn't feel good. This feels completely incoherent, and like, yes, it's good to put it's good to create an orbital line. I don't disagree, but this is just so weird and wacky, and I really don't know that this is the best way to be doing this. Do I think like connecting the Ontario Line to an inner loop line could be useful? Possibly, but do I think that an inner loop line should go all the way up to like this? Probably not. If you're going to do an inner loop line in Toronto, let me draw what I think would be sensible. So yes, we're crayoning a bit now. If we're gonna do this kind of loop line, then what we should do is, okay, I'm just trying to understand. Okay, so go up from the Ontario Line, go via Shepherd, cut across, go down, maybe over to like Jane, potentially, and then work your way back down via Roncesvalles to the western end of the Ontario Line. Something like this for an inner loop line, that feels like sensible within the context of Toronto. This weird outer loop that goes all the way up to Highway 7 or Highway 407, whatever one it is, doesn't make a lot of sense. For an outer loop line, like this is okay, but I'm not sure this alignment makes a ton of sense. But anyways, if you're gonna go along here, sure, go along the highway, but make this a regional rail line. So maybe that means your curves need to be a little less direct. You hit Vaughan Metropolitan Center or whatever via the highway alignment, cut down to Pearson, and then maybe just end it at Mississauga City Centre or go to Oakville or something like that. But have that be its own distinct thing. Do not interline these two loops. That just feels very strange and bad from an operational point of view. Anyways, these two really dramatic loop lines are crazy, and so I thought, I should definitely mention them. Now 31 is another interesting one, which is the Line 1 capacity expansion. I think that's a good idea, but it's a little frustrating that in Toronto we've been acting like Line 1 couldn't have had its capacity expanded for decades, and now we're just like, look, Line 1 capacity expansion. All of you people who haven't been riding the subway because there's been no room, it turns out we could have just used the whole platform in our subway stations. Which is very annoying, very frustrating and annoying and frustrating. There's mention of the Milton GO line being, getting some more trains, and that's this GO line here. And while that's great, you can see it here on your screen now. Well, that's great. What they should really be doing is building the spur tunnel suggested by Jonathan English in the Board of Trade report to connect it up to Mississauga City Centre like this, so that you can actually have that valuable rail connection, or potentially making that connection this way via a new regional rail line that they're suggesting they're going to build. But this is the problem for me, is that it looks like just kind of vomiting a ton of projects onto the page, and yet you have downtown Toronto here, and you have Mississauga City Center here, which is actually incredibly dense, and somehow we are building a bajillion projects, and yet there is no way to go from this location to this location on rail, which is just crazy to me. And it just kind of shows that this is more about putting lines all over the place rather than actually making a network that's sensible. You know, obviously a lot of people live at Mississauga City Center, a lot of people live in downtown Toronto. You should be able to go between them in on a one-trip, one-seat ride. And the fact that you can't just shows that this map is effectively this, and it is, I don't know, this is about is coherent, and I'm just not a huge fan of this. So yeah, I'm gonna quit drawing on this map now and start to wind down the stream, which means let me remove this image from here. Ugh, okay, that's gone. I have had the chat closed for a while, so I'm gonna read the chat a bit, and then what I will do is I will answer if people have questions and stuff. I will answer, and then I'll probably wind things down. The highway extensions are nowhere near the highway expansions, but that's just because the downstream effects of the highway extensions require highway expansions in different places. What is the ring road around Toronto? 407, basically. Where would an orange blob go in the east? I think maybe Kennedy Station or Scarborough Center, but the fact that there isn't one is kind of strange. It's like one of those things that you're going to have a north blob and a west blob, but no eastern blob, and why not? It just seems strange. It's not organized very well. See, having Richmond Hill be a hub for Viva and Highway 7 sounds great. And like this is the problem, is it sounds great, but first of all, Viva has terrible frequencies, and they currently are not improving them. The 407 busway is a kind of bad plan, in my personal opinion. I can explain why if people are interested. But so we're building a hub around a bunch of services which basically don't exist right now, and I just don't know that that's... And also just Highway 7 busway and 407 buses are just not that big. They're not major services in the way that like subway lines are moving hundreds of thousands of people a day. Hundreds of thousands, right? And then some of these subway interchanges are minor interchanges, whereas Richmond Hill Center is a mega interchange. Even though it's going to have a few bus routes, it's maybe going to get 50,000 riders a day or something like that, right? It just doesn't make a ton of sense. There is a regional bus that goes around Toronto along the 407. Steeles is likely going to be a BRT, I would say. It seems likely. I think BRT is totally sufficient. Honestly, I don't even think it should be BRT. It'd just be better buses. Put some bus lanes in. I think Toronto is way too obsessed with BRT as a concept. It just put bus lanes in, make the stops nicer, and then you can have BRT everywhere. It's kind of like how we talk about LRT and streetcar, and it's like, well, you can have LRT everywhere if you just made the streetcars 10% better, which is really frustrating. I don't agree that it's nuts to have a connection on the CP mainline with via high-frequency rail, because the reality is that the East Toronto Yard is like been reduced a lot in its importance, and that's the main reason the CP mainline matters at all. So I think that it's totally possible for them to make a track connection, especially if they build their own tracks. I don't think high-floor BRT makes sense unless you have a place where BRT makes sense, which means you have really like low operating costs, and so having a bajillion vehicles isn't a bad thing. Why can't GO do level boarding? Can't they just put a siding for the commuter trains and put platforms there? Then it wouldn't affect freight movement. There is not much freight movement on most GO lines, but Reaper Express, now known as Ontario Traffic Man, made a really good video explaining this situation. Frankly, a lot of it is just silliness, in my personal opinion. Ontario Line terminate either Leslie and 407 or at best Richmond Hill Center, then serve Kipling as a spur. I don't know. I just think that there's so, like, let's extend the Shepherd Line. That seems like a way more valuable project. Now, you say who to vote for transit, anyone but PC, basically, but the reality is that, frankly, the PCs have a more substantial transit plan than, like, the NDP do right now, as far as I can tell. Their policies on other issues are bad, but the PCs have been actually not terrible on transit. The status quo on a lot of issues has not improved, but the actual amount that they're spending and committed to doing is somewhat impressive. For example, the 10-minute base frequency on the bus services. So yeah, it's interesting. Viva Purple and Blue are having a frequency bump. They had higher frequency in the past too, though. I don't know. I'm not that confident. The Steels bus gets way better frequencies, right? So that's part of my concern. The way they plan Line 4 and Line 6 makes my brain hurt. They were planned in completely different eras, which is part of the problem. But Line 4 should be getting the focus. This is planning for 30 years from now, yes, but that's why it's even crazier, because it's very incoherent. 30 years from now, there's all of these things that we should be doing. Extend the Shepherd Line. Like basically projects that are natural extensions of stuff we already have. And then instead of doing those projects, we're just putting new lines in random places. It doesn't feel like a good value proposition. But it means more lines on maps, especially in the 905, which is where the votes are, and I find that just incredibly frustrating. Extending Shepherd is in all ways better as a crosstown line than having something at the 407. The population center is way south of the 407, and this feels political, and it's frustrating. Do big TODs together have more synergy than smaller TODs? Definitely, but TODs also don't have as much of an impact as people often think on ridership. You'd be surprised. Connecting lines are way more valuable. This plan won't come to pass for sure. Some parts of it might, but we'll see. Would you rather have Shepherd or Finch as the northern east-west part of a potential loop? Shepherd for sure, because Finch is not going to be fast, right? For a loop line that is about making connections between other lines, you want to have quick, fast connections because you're probably taking another line on each end. It's not a last mile type thing like I'm taking the Finch LRT to get to Humber College or whatever. So I definitely Shepherd. Also, Shepherd has tons of capacity, which would be valuable on a loop line. Dutch transport is good. Flashback to 2018, where the PCs had no plan for anything. It's certainly interesting. Where would you extend the Ontario Line westwards? Probably along the lake shore, and then maybe up, but not to Dundas West, as is sometimes suggested, because Regional Rail already goes there. LA should definitely do the Arts District Station. It makes sense. What are your thoughts on Amtrak and VIA long-haul trains? New train cars, please, and more regular service, please, and more consistent service. Thank you for all of your help, Master Singleton. Toronto changed transit policy as much as they change government. Okay. So with that, I think I have ranted and I've gotten out my frustrations. I think I'm probably going to leave it there. And yeah, I'll maybe take a few more questions, but beyond that, thanks for coming to the stream. Make sure to set a reminder for the next one. And consider sending me mail, and make sure to follow on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks so much, and yeah, I'll answer a few more of these. For low-performing videos, have you gone back into YouTube Studio and changed stuff? Definitely, right? Like I've done this. I've done this for a while, but it's still it's just complicated. IMO Atlanta has the best USA rail link. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, like and subscribe. Thanks for the hard work as always. Thanks so much, and thank you to Fern and William and to Master Singleton. Which North American city do you think is most in need of a subway? Las Vegas could use one. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave it there. Thanks everyone for watching, and have a good rest of your weekend. Unless you're in Australia, in which case your weekend is almost over, and I'm so sorry about that.